Hi, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. This is my YouTube channel. And who am I? I am Kendell Lenice, and this is Kendell Lenice Live. I'm so glad that you continue to return. But before we do anything, I need you to subscribe, like, and share. It's so important that you do that because I have great content and great people coming to you. That's right. Subscribe and hit the notification button so you can be alerted when the next video is posted. All right, so I'm so excited as I am with all my shows. You guys know I'm excited. That's who I am. But we are talking about all things networking, the importance of networking. And I'm pleased to introduce my guest to you. He looks familiar to you. He's been on up and down this channel. His name is Leroy McKenzie Jr. He is a CEO, an entrepreneur. He is an author. What else? A speaker. You guys know Leroy, and I'm allow him after I introduce my next guest to tell you, all about him. Next up, I have Kim Arrington. She is a CEO of a media group. She is a podcaster and she is a host. She's a boss, basically. So I have two bosses with me today, and we're going to talk to bosses, and we're going to talk about the world of networking and why it's important to do just that. Welcome.
Oh, thank you. Oh, I love you, girl. I love you. Hey, Leroy.
What's going on, ma'am?
And I'm sure you can tell which one is Kim and which one is Leroy.
I hope so.
Right.
If not, they may need more than my glasses.
And look, the way I've been pumping, you guys have to excuse me, the way I've been pumping out these interviews, I've been changing like Superwoman, and I came back and I'm like, okay, next show. So let me compose myself. Let me say a quick prayer, Lord. Please let whatever needs to come out in your name. Amen.
Right.
Let me breathe.
Help me, Jesus, please.
Right. Let me tell you, I have been doing about 2 or 3 interviews every day for the most part.
Oh, wow.
I have been doing, I'll try to say maybe 4 days a week. I'm trying to save some of the days, but then I also have to work around others' schedule if they're, going to be a part of this. So I have been happily running myself ragged because don't forget I got to edit and upload and do all of that. So this is the fun part. To talk to beautiful people like you. But Kim, thank you so much for joining me on Kendell Lenice Live. This is my YouTube channel and you're going to be all up and down there. So I thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm very excited. I just love your energy. Of course, I love Leroy as well. And let's get it popping. I love it.
Yes, absolutely. So why don't you tell my viewers a little bit about Kim Arrington?
Wow. Well, I am Kim Arrington, and I'm a Southern girl. I'm actually from Tuskegee, Alabama. Even though people always think I'm from the East Coast, but I'm a Southern girl through and through. But I am a CEO of my own media platform, and that houses radio and podcasting and television programs and writing and things like that. So it started off with a thought a couple of years ago, everybody. And I started with radio, and it just blossomed into so many other things. And by the grace of God, I'm here today. So I'm just really excited about what's next.
Wow. And I'm excited to meet you. This is my first time meeting Kim Arrington. Yeah, virtually. And we're talking about networking. And no one does it better like Leroy McKenzie Jr. He connected Kim and I. He connects people all the time. If you follow him on social media, you know he is a supporter and he is a connector. He's almost like, you guys got to see Clarence Avant's story on Netflix. Have you guys seen that?
I haven't seen it.
It's phenomenal. It's wow. You talk about connectors and people, like in other words, like people person, but I don't want to say people person, but people and just connectors. Amazing. It'll blow you away. Wow. People are like, well, what does he really do? We only know him as a connector, and that's what he does. So Leroy, you little Clarence Avant.
but it's important. I hope your audience realize that the name of that Netflix, because it's on Netflix, is called The
Yes.
Black Godfather.
Yes.
It is, I mean, think of any major political, entertainment, music person that you can think of, and think of it
And
happening.
Hollywood.
He was behind the scenes of it.
Mm.
He was. I'm gonna give you just one example.
Wow.
Can I give one example
powerful.
real quick?
Absolutely.
Wow.
In the documentary, they talk about, you know how when Michael Jackson was doing Michael Jackson, it was E.T. They wanted Michael Jackson to do the soundtrack for E.T. But Michael Jackson was signed to whatever record. I don't know if it was Sony at the time, but whatever record company it was. But there was some conflict with it. So Clarence Avant brings Michael Jackson, brings whoever the movie people were, along with Steven Spielberg, and then the other people, and everybody's in the room. Everybody got their lawyers there. It's this big, long conference table, and everybody's sitting there, and they're talking to people, and then like Kendell was saying, well, they were like, well, who's Clarence? And they were like, well, that's him. He's the one that put all of this together. So everybody that came to the table was brought to the table by him.
And nobody knows, and it's not just the music industry, it's not just Hollywood, it's not just business, it's political, it's he knows everybody, and he connects people, and he puts his money behind people that he sees well. Like if he saw you, Kim, and he's like, okay, Kim's on her grind, she's doing this, he'll ask me or Leroy, what's up with Kim?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
People, is she doing this? Because if so, I'm going to give her $10,000, $1 million just to help her, you know, further along. But he said a quote, and he said, I don't have problems, I have friends.
Yep.
I was like, boom, boom, right. Right.
I mean, that is the ultimate, when, you know, getting into what you're talking about, Kendell, about networking. You want to talk about having a network. Clarence Avant had a network.
Wow.
And it encompassed so many industries and people, and just to watch his life and how he developed those relationships, because that's, to me, that's what networking is. It's developing relationships. And that's what he did. And that's a perfect example, Kendell, of what you're talking about with networking today.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, wow.
I mean, I've watched that movie probably 3 times in the last year and a half. I think it premiered last year sometime, and my husband and I watched it. And then we finished watching it. He was like, let's watch it again. Like, it's that powerful, because there's so many nuggets and jewels within that movie. And it's not just a movie. This is his life. And he's literally just telling you about his life. There's no fanfare. There's no fluff. He was like, I don't even know. He's like, wait, I'm going to get paid for me to tell y'all about my life?
Wow.
So his daughter put this together, and it's just phenomenal. And he's best friends with Quincy Jones. I mean, the people, I would love to see the people, just the roster of people. Yeah. Because everybody was on there, from Bill Clinton to Obama to Quincy Jones to, God rest his soul, Bill Withers. Bill Withers opened up the documentary, and you know, he just passed away. But he was huge in Bill Withers' career. Snoop Dogg, P. Diddy. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And you got Obama up there talking about him. You have politicians talking about, amazing. So I didn't plan to come on here and promote that, but I'm glad that I did, because he is a prime example of networking and connecting people. And I think it's so very important for us to stop being tight-lipped about what we do and what others do. If we know people are doing great in whatever business, I think it truly is our duty to tell people not only about what we do, but about other people. And that's really what I want for our community. And stop being the crabs in a barrel, and I don't want to tell you what they do, or if they're in the same line of work as I am, I don't really want to toot their horn because it's going to take food out of my mouth. But I'm just a firm believer, what's for you is for you, and we can all have a piece of that pie. Yeah.
Amen.
So Leroy, you know, I want to talk to you for a moment, because as I said, and we got off, and you see how Leroy, he got off of him and started going on about Clarence Avon. You see that? You notice that? But Leroy, you know, I've told you this a number of times. I've heard people describe you as this, and it really warms my heart, and I'm not kidding, that you are so selfless when it comes to business and connecting other people, and you're like one of the pros at networking. Tell me what networking means to you, and tell me how did you get this way in business?
Well, I mean, for me, when it comes to networking, I've always felt that that's one of the most important parts of your business, because if you aren't able to build, the only way that you can build your business is by telling people about your business. So you have to put yourself in places that you can be able to tell people about what you do. And I've just learned by watching, you know, i.e. like the documentary we just talked about with Clarence Avon, being around certain business individuals. An example is the young lady that we're on here with, Miss Kimberly. They show you certain things about being able to how to build, and how to not just build, but build relationships. Because like I told you, networking is about building relationships. And it's, you know, and we can't be physically in front of people right now. So the question is, how do you still network within this parameters that we're in right now? So it could be that, you know, where we used to be able to do the face-to-face, or we're kind of hindered from doing that right now. But when we were able to do that, it was always about, for me, it was about, okay, what things are going on that I know that I need to be a part of. What events, and I have, this is one of my strategies, is what events I call, it's two things. An events calendar, and then a calendar of events. And here's the difference between the two. The events calendar is things that you have going on. I may have a book signing. I may have a speaking engagement. I may have things that I'm doing myself. And then there's a calendar of events, which are events that are going on that I know I need to be a part of, that I need to go to. I can go. I can, you know, I can talk to people in the room that I know are going to be part of who need to be where I call them be in the room events. And it's be in the room because the people that are in the room are people that either need my product, need my service, or I need their product, need their service, so that we can meet each other. If I'm not in the room, then no one knows who I am, or no one knows who you are. So to me, that's how I came about. When I thought about networking and I was trying to build my business, that was one of the things that I thought about. One of the strategies that I thought about. I have to have those two elements of it. If I'm going to have things going on, I got to be able to tell people about them. And then I know other people that have things going on, so I've got to be there. One of the things that people tell me, because I do a lot of postings, or, you know, using my social media platforms, and like, you everywhere. I'm like, no, it seems like I'm everywhere. I said, because I promote the things that I go to. Because I want people, not only that I'm there, but the people that are having the events, they get the exposure too. So that's what goes into me doing the networking.
And people don't understand, when you're an entrepreneur, like, I didn't go to sleep till 6:30 this morning. You know, I don't recommend that. You know, this is not a day to say stay up and get your grind on. But I find that my creative juices, they don't slow me down, because I'm constantly creating, and I'm constantly thinking about different ways and to do whatever. I'm working on this show for you, uploading that. You know, I'm also working, as Leroy knows, I'm working on a website for someone. I'm also an author, you know, so I'm always writing. I mean, it's just so many things that I'm doing. And when you're an entrepreneur, people don't realize that it's not a clock out kind of job. It's not 5 o'clock, let's put the computer away and let you get. It doesn't work that way. Because sometimes I'm up like, oh, let me write this down, because that's what it is. And that's where, the grind comes in. So Kim, how important is that grind? Like when you're in business, because you are a boss woman, let's be clear.
Thank you. Thank you.
I can recognize a boss. I'm just, but you're doing it. Yeah, you're doing it, and you're also helping other people to do it or to be that. So what's a day like for Kim? When you wake up, even outside of this quarantine, what's a normal day look like for you?
Wow. Well, a normal day for me, I always try to, as much as I can, start off with a day of gratitude. I always start off with just sitting in silence and just really thanking the Creator, thanking God for my very life, especially right now. And as I get more and more thankful, because I have this quota that I have to meet before I end my thankfulness, and I'll share it with you real quick. I have to feel it emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and physically before I stop thanking. If I'm just like, oh, thank you for my food I had today, and I don't really feel it yet, it hasn't gone through every part of my body, I'm not finished thanking God yet. So I get into that height of thankfulness and of gratitude, and then my creativity just flows. And I think what happens is when you give to the Creator or give back, and this is what I believe, that He is so willing to give back to you. So willing. So that's how I start my day off. Then I exercise a little bit. Haven't been exercising much. I've been eating a lot since we've been in this quarantine.
I know. But look, while you said that, I just thought about this. This is what I have.
Oh, awesome. Oh, awesome.
Do you see what it says?
I do. The 1 minute gratitude journal. Oh, wow. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think it's important to journal. I have so many journals. As a matter of fact, I had to tell people, stop buying me journals because I have so many. But I just try to start off with gratitude. And then, throughout the day, I'm giving thanks because there are some things that happened recently with family members of mine where I believe their lives were spared. Okay. And so sometimes I just step aside and I'm thankful for that. But in terms of my professional goals and tasks, I just hit my task every day. The night before, I pretty much go and write down everything that I need to do the next day. And I'm like Leroy, I break them up into different lists. And Leroy and I do a lot of things together as well. And so I just keep going till I hit those lists. And I'm kind of like Rocky. I put my music on. But to be honest with you, I'm always moving. I'm always going. And it's hard sometimes as an entrepreneur. You all know this. It's hard to sometimes just settle down because you might sit down, but that brain never stops. And
people don't understand that. People who aren't entrepreneurs, they don't understand what that's like. They're like, well, sit down and chill. You're like, I can't.
And look, the ideas, you might get that. And, we're always looking for that big idea, that one. And, it could come at any time. And so that's how I always am. I'm like, I got to get out of the bed or I got to do this. But for the most part, my day is filled with phone calls, emails, action steps for me, delegating tasks to others. And things like that. It's a full day's work, and it never really ends until I just close my eyes, and then it's all over again. But I love it. Yeah, I absolutely love it.
And it's just I love this right now, what we're doing, because Leroy and I are in the same area, but you're not. So just networking this way virtually. I think a lot of people, we were doing this type of thing before with Zoom because we know that Zoom and other platforms didn't just get created with this quarantine. But a lot of people weren't utilizing them as we are now. So I think this quarantine has really heightened creativity for a lot of creative people. And even people who don't know they're creative. So when you think about the quarantine and you think about, because you were busy, you had interview after interview, I'm working, Kim is working. What has this quarantine period taught you about your business?
That you have to always be ready to adapt to change. No matter what the change is, even if we didn't have this particular incident, change is going to come. And so it's very important for me to be able to forecast. And if I'm not good at forecasting, I need a forecaster around me, someone who's good at projecting, seeing what's next. One of the biggest things that I try to do is not follow the trend, but create a trend. And be ready for things. You're not going to always be ready. But I think that what this has taught all of us, if we really capture this moment, is that we need to realize that change is inevitable. And we need to be able to leverage that change. And change can come, in something bad, like with this virus, or can come in something really good and exciting. But either way, we need to be able to be flexible. A lot of people think that, that since this has come, it's just going to take them out. No, it's just anything else. You have to learn how to adapt. And what's the word everybody's been using lately? Pivot. Everybody's using pivot. Yeah. But that's something that I look at doing regardless of quarantine. I'm always, because there's trends in business. Business is cyclical. And so you gotta, get somebody. I have a really, really good strategist, thank God. It's not me. It's really not me. I have a really good strategist who can forecast things in certain trends in business and things like that. But just be ready. Don't give up. Don't throw your towel in. Don't throw your head in. It's okay to get frustrated. But once you come out of your feelings, because that's what they are feelings, get back on your grind. Remember who you are. Get back on your ish.
That's
call
right.
Your buddies, call Kendell, call Leroy, call Kim. Get somebody to speak life into you and keep moving.
That's right. Well said. Well said. So Leroy, we're talking about networking, and like I said, you're very good at networking. How has your networking abilities heightened since quarantine?
Well, here's the thing. It is crazy enough. It's gotten busier with the quarantine. I mean, and because I'm doing more, and I know that has to do with it being virtual now, and that you have more people that are in place. So they're actually stagnant, if you will. They actually have to be in one set place, and they're not going anywhere. So as a consequence, they're using these tools, these venues, these platforms like this right here to do the networking. I can call so and so up now because I know they at home. They ain't got nowhere to go, so they gotta answer the phone. What you mean you didn't see my email? You didn't get my email. I know you ain't gone nowhere. So
you can't even say now. Oh,
right. So it's I mean, and it's a good busy, and I think it's been able to give me the opportunity to do a little more, in addition to what would have been. Now, would all of this have happened if we weren't dealing with with the stay-at-home orders and stuff like that? Probably not, because I know that people would be out more. But since they're in place, in one place, they have more time than they used to have. It's actually heightened mine, which I think is a benefit, and hopefully. This is one thing that I hope that entrepreneurs will gain from this, that because we're dealing with the virus, it's all in the attitude and how you approach it. Because I've said this, and I've told my clients and other people, the mission hasn't changed for your business. I said, but how you do it.
The method.
The method. Yeah, like you all have been saying, it's pivoting. I call it a shift. There's a shift that's going on. And every now and Kim, you know about this because you and I talk all the time about trends and things that go on. You have to be able to ride those, ride those shifts. And I remember Bishop T.D. Jakes talking about this one time. He was talking about him and his wife, and they were talking about relationships, but I thought it applies to this too. But he talked about wanting to ride a motorcycle. And he was talking about them riding a motorcycle. And he was talking about how when you ride a motorcycle, with the motorcycle, you have to be able to, when you turn, the person that's on with you has to turn with you.
Yeah.
Because if they don't, y'all gonna go to
That's right.
And that's just how this stay-at-home order, this virus is. You have those that are like-minded, like you, Kendell, like you, Kimberly, that all of us that have this like mind, and we're all on this motorcycle, and we're all riding that shift. We're all able to understand when we need to move. All of those things. So
move.
That's what this, that's what this has, to me, what it has created is those who understand how to shift, how to pivot, are telling other people how to do it. Because there's some people that don't understand how to do it, don't know what to do. So you teach them, but those who are not willing to adjust, those who are not willing to say, wow, you know what, I can't be out physically to network. How else can I now find ways to network?
So what would you tell, and either one of you can answer this question. So what would you tell someone who says, you know what, I'm in business, I'm doing well, I know other folks who are in business, but I don't like all that networking. I don't like being around people, because I've heard people say, well, I don't need to do all of that. What would you tell that person? What is the benefit of networking? And both of you touched on it already, but what would you tell that individual?
Well, who would like to go first?
No, go ahead, Kimberly. Go ahead, Kim.
Well, I would say, well, first of all, I may not say it like this to them, but that's idiotic. Okay. Just because you don't like to do so, sales and talking, especially talking about your business and things like that, is the lifeblood of any business. And, you may not need to network today, but you're going to need to network at some time. When it comes to business, and just like what's going on right now, you have to be ready. If you have nothing else in your business and you're just a solopreneur, you have to sell. You have to network. You have to talk. And so people like that may find themselves in a position later on that they're not finding themselves in right now. And I just think that that's a wrong way of thinking. They don't necessarily have to be the ones, but I sure doggone well would hire somebody, or get my loudmouth cousin or somebody who's not afraid to talk, because isn't it just that important, guys? Yeah, it really is. But yeah, you do hear that, and I get it. And people think you have to have a certain personality. You can do it in so many different ways, but don't ever cut your nose to spite your face. Don't ever do that. Don't ever do that. But yeah, that's what I'll tell them. Baby, you stupid. Don't do that.
My former business partner and I, we had a networking event, and we would do it every week. And it would be, maybe 5 or 6 people there sometimes, and then sometimes 2, sometimes 10. But a lot of people, it's interesting. It was totally free. We know a lot of business people, but so many business people say, well, I don't need that. I'm good on my business. But it's really not about numbers as far as sales, and it's really about, like Leroy said, building relationships and connections, because you never know what I'll do one day and I'll say, oh, Kim, or you never do know what Leroy says and he'll be like, oh, Kendell would be perfect for that. That's what it's about, because I was raised, and I talk about this all the time in a lot of different forums. My mother used to say, you want for your sister what you want for yourself. And that goes for your brother too. So if you know you can't do it, or that's not your expertise, send them over to him. Send them over to Leroy. That's really what it's about. And it's reciprocal. That's really it. So Leroy, I want you to talk to the folks and tell them some of the opportunities you may have gotten from networking with other people.
I'll give you a perfect example, because social media is a form of networking.
Yes, if you do it right.
Exactly. Yeah, right. Yeah, you got to do it right.
Because if you're on there gossiping and saying this, spreading negative news, ain't nobody checking for you. I don't care what you do. Because your brand, that's a whole nother topic. Your brand is a whole other topic.
And I know this isn't you two ladies, but being on social media and you got the camera on yourself and all you're doing is just I know y'all seen
do that again. Do that again.
You know how they do. Instagram, they on there.
How do they do?
You know, that's all they do. I swear. I go up and down. I lied to you now. I can go right up and down my timeline right now, and there's at least 3 to 5 people that are doing just that. I'm just
sidebar. Ladies, if you see a man doing that, go the other way. But go ahead.
Okay.
I know, right? For real. But just to give you an example, from my postings that I do and everything like that, I had one of my Facebook friends contacted me. He said, "Hey man, I have a show and I'd like for you, I see what you're doing and I'd like for you to come on my show." Mm-hmm. And that was last night. He contacted me about a week or so ago. He said, "Hey, I'm doing a show on this, can you, on entrepreneurship and entrepreneur, and I'd like to have you on just from the things that I do." Just something that simple.
Yeah.
Is how is what networking can do for you.
Mm-hmm.
So here I am. I get somebody that I knew but I didn't know. Mm-hmm. I get onto his show, so that of course brings me onto his platform, introduces me to his network. He has established. He then also, by having me on, gets introduced to my network, of course, because I'm going to tell people that I'm going to be on his show, and then the other guest that's on there, I get introduced to her, and I tell, she's an author, so I tell her about the National Christian Writers Conference that's next week. And my author showcase that I'm a part of with the national the National Black Unity newspaper. So all of these relationships that come out of that, even this right here, the relationship that I have with both of you, when Kendell was talking about doing these shows, I have a relationship with Kimberly, and I know Kimberly is just the bomb at what she does with networking and the people she knows and stuff like that. So it's like, that's how that works.
Yeah.
How the relationships work. That's how those resources, what Mr. Avant said, I don't have problems. I have friends. Because there are times that I can, if there's a problem that I need to solve, who do I know that can assist me, or somebody that may come to me with a problem, who I know that has the answer to their problem.
That's right. And that's it. Because people are coming to you. If they're coming to you to do something, they know you have the answer. They're not coming to you because they're unsure. I was once told, if you want something done, ask a busy person. Because a busy person is going to get it done. And if they're coming to you, they're coming for the answer because they know you have it. People see you before you even know they see you. People study you. People see trends. People want to see your brand. People want to see if you put your money where your mouth is, if you are just talking or if you're actually doing. And I know networking has worked for me, like Leroy said, on social media. I met my former business partner on social media, and through him, I met Leroy. And just so many. I've gotten booked for conferences and events and opportunities just media, and that's really about networking. Or someone saying, "Hey, what about Kendell?" Or somebody saying, "Hey, well, what about Kim?" Or I say, "Hey, what about Leroy? You know what Leroy is doing?" And it's so important to do that. And you're a resource not only for yourself but for others. Kim, tell me the importance of you. Not even talking about you and your business. What does it feel like when you can refer someone out and say, "Hey, let me tell you about Leroy. Let me tell you about so-and-so. They're powerful. They're good at what they do. Let me, give you their information." How does that make you feel when you're able to connect people?
Oh, it makes me feel amazing. Because I know that the people that I'm referring to them can solve their problem. And I think that's the biggest issue that people have, is not the desire to do things, but they don't know how to do things. And it's a bottleneck there. And it's the one, people, think they want a lot of money. Everybody wants a lot of money, but I prefer to have a lot of ideas.
Yes.
Because I know that ideas attract people with the money or the resources. So, I can have $1 million today and it be gone tomorrow, but I have a lot of ideas. I'll get that back.
Yep.
So, that's
true.
what and we all have that ability if we tap into it, but it makes me feel great. And so, I tell people, I don't build businesses, I build people. I build people because you build people, people will build the businesses, and people will be loyal to you during those hard times and down times. And it's not an ego thing, but it's because they believe in you because you first believed in them. So it's really important to me when anybody comes to me from someone who just says, hey, someone called me the other day and said, Kim, hey, I need a lawn man. I was like, I got the best lawn man.
Right.
Hey, he can cut some grass,
Right.
But then somebody else can call and say, listen, Kim, I really need a loan. Everybody's turning me down. And I may happen. Now, everybody don't call me now, but hey, I know a branch manager. Or I know the person at the bank that you go in there and see that person. And so I'm all about helping people. I think one of the biggest things in networking for me is if you are a giver, a natural giver like you all are, networking is your friend.
Yes.
Because the more you give, the more you're going to get back. And I think some people just think networking is about, okay, who can I meet so I can get? And that works for a period of time. But trust me, people might give you a little bit, but they're never going to give you all the resources that they have because they know that you're just coming to get. But if you're someone who is giving and giving and giving, as soon as they hear your name, they're coming.
Yeah.
Leroy, how can I help you? What can I do for you? I'm going to turn you on to Kendell. I'm going to turn you on to Kim. And so it's very important for me to keep giving because that's who I am. And it comes back. It comes back.
I love that you went through the scale. You said from the lawn care man to loan officer. I think it's so important because people think about networking. They just think about if they're in your business, let's see how you can get more business and let's do this. But it really is it's a connector. And I keep going back to that word. It's about connecting people. If this person needs this and this person has this to offer, then connect that person because then they're connectors of each other. And it really is life and it continues if people do it right. It's almost as if we're paying it forward, without even thought.
Yeah.
And
what do they say? It's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah.
And that statement is so true.
Yeah.
It's more true than you know. So
I want to respect time and I want to make sure Leroy doesn't get me.
Hey, I'm good today, so.
Because we are talking to bosses and bosses are booked and busy, even in this virtual world, even in this quarantine. People got stuff to do. So I'm very respectful of folks' time.
Yeah.
But Leroy, so what would you tell that person who says to you, why do you have to post about everybody else? Why can't you just focus on yourself, Leroy? Because you're doing amazing things. Let your page be just about you and all of the things that you're doing.
Well, it goes to what you said, the word being selfless. And and I tell my author clients this when they talk about having a book and I got this book, but I'm not sure, I'm not a speaker and I don't know. I said, well, I'm not sure how to get it out there, or I'm not sure what to do with it. I said, who are you to keep the gift that God has given you to yourself? Because it's all of our gifts are not meant for us.
It's all God.
They're meant to give away. They're meant to flow through us. We're just the vessel that's used for it to flow through. So it comes to us, but then it's supposed to flow through us to the others that we are surrounded by. We're meant to make, and this is my thing, to make people better. My pastor has given us this charge to make life better for someone else. And I think each of us that are members of the church, we've taken on that mantra. I know me personally to say it is my it is part of my responsibility to make life better for someone else. And if I can make someone's life better by pouring into them the knowledge, the information, the resources that have been given to me, then I'm obligated to do that, because that at the end of the day, honestly, that's what God's going to look at. He's going to say, what did you do with what I gave you?
That's right.
So I can't sit there and say, oh, I did it all for myself.
Right.
No, he wants to know who I poured that gift into.
That's right. I think that was well said. That's so important, because if let's look at it like this. So if God gave us 5 jelly beans, right? And he said, I need you to give Kim 3 jelly beans, and I need you to give Leroy 2 jelly beans. That's the 5, right? But if I say to myself, you know what? I'm going to keep 3. God said, I'm going to keep jelly beans because I like the green ones, But you have to be obedient. He said, give 3 to Kim and 2 to Leroy. Give 3 to that stranger, give 2 to that other. Because God will take care of you and your provisions and what you need in order to have to the next level, whatever the next level is to you. But so many people don't listen to that. So I love that you factor God into that. I mean, God is factored into everything. Let's be clear. I haven't done a show where God's name wasn't mentioned at least once. That's my goal. I said, God, every show that I do, your name is going to be in there somewhere. That's something.
And see, here's the thing about that though. When you look at the Bible, everything that God has created, he created to produce. It's our responsibility. Everything that's been created, from the trees, the grass, everything was meant to reproduce itself. Anything in the Bible that does not produce, God destroys. He got rid of it. Think about it. He cursed the one that Kendell, what you just used was the example of the talents. He gave he gave the 1, 5, whatever the numbers were. They gave 1, 5, 1, 3, whatever, 1 and 1, 1. The one that kept the one,
kept the
one talent and kept it. What did the owner do? He took it and gave to the one that had 5 and doubled it to 10. Because that's what we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And by us sharing with others, like you just mentioned, we are producing. And I promise you, if we do exactly what you just said, take that 5 and give 3 to whoever he tells us to, give it to 2 to whoever he tells us to, that will come back to you 3 and 10-fold. It's his promise to us. That's what he'll do.
It's so true. What a way to wrap that up. That is so true. It's so important to just get the word out. What you're doing is really not for you. Yes, you're making income. Yes, you're going to all these levels and heights in your career. But how is that joyful when you're not helping anyone else get there too? Because there's room for all of us. And I really just want to, because this show, I always talk about just bursting myths, just that other Black folks don't want to see other Black folks successful. That's not true. That's not true at all. And I have 2 people on here that know that it's not true, and they're helping other people get there as well. Because there's enough for all of us. And I say that all the time. You're not, just because you may not refer Kim, or you may not refer Leroy or whoever else, it doesn't mean they're not going to get what they need. But God is watching you to see how you're acting in that moment. If someone comes to you and say, hey, do you know someone who is a life coach, right? Because I'm a life coach. So if they would go to Leroy and say, hey, do you know someone who's a life coach? And Leroy goes, I don't know anybody who's a life coach. And it's not even about me, because at that point, I don't know. You get what I'm saying? But if you're not being obedient, because that's a sense of really being obedient, because you don't know what God is looking at and how he's looking, and how he's using you to help someone else, because he's got whatever he got for you, just waiting. Just wait. Wait for the right time. See if you passing these tests to do that. So I think it's so important to really just be mindful of that. What do you think about that, Kim?
Oh, I mean, you're right on point. You're right on point. I mean, God created us to be social beings, meaning that we need one another. We don't just, we're not here just because we want to be with each other. Our very breath depends on one another. I mean, there's I don't know what you would call it, but I don't know if you all have heard the study of failure to thrive, when babies are born and their mothers may have died or something like that. And the baby can't go but for so long without a sense of touch. And, they'll bring nurses in, they'll bring volunteers in, just because without that sense of touch, that baby will not thrive. And in some cases will die. And so I think that our very existence depends on helping one another. And a lot of us don't see it that way. I see it as my very lifeline. I try to wake up every day. I try to. I'm human. I don't always do it. But I try to say, okay, God, who do you want me to serve today? Who do you need me to serve?
Wow.
Because I understand that your best leaders are servants, or servant leaders. And God desires us to serve. And I think, when you're talking about the world of networking, it's about serving the needs of others. And when you're talking, I'm already thinking, what can I do to help her do whatever? It might be something small. It might be something small, but I'm not thinking about, what can I say to her to get her to have me on her show? Or, you know what I mean? I'm always thinking about, okay, what can I give? And if you ever had me on your show again or not, that's not what it's about, but it's about pleasing him first. Yeah. And I think that when you do that, he's going to take care of you.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
Take care of you.
A lady last week, she reached out to me on Facebook. She inboxed me and she said, is there a time where we could meet, virtually? Can we talk on the phone? I didn't know what she wanted. I didn't know what she needed. I had no. But I said, sure. I gave her my phone number. We said, okay, let's talk. This was this past week, Tuesday at 2. Right. So she calls me and she said, I just see what you're doing online and something just keeps telling me, and we know what the something is. She said, something keeps telling me that I need to connect with you. And she didn't ask for anything. Guess what she asked me? How can I be of service to you? How can I help you further yourself in your career? What can I do? I had no idea. So she said, just tell me about some of the things that you're doing. So I go down my little list and I tell her what I'm doing. And she was quiet. She had a little voice and she said, well, I want to help you. How can I help you? Which way? And at that time I was just like, because it just took me aback just a bit, like, wow. So I said, well, right now I'm promoting this YouTube show that I have, Kendell Lenice Live. And she said, I'm going to repost that. She said, what else? I said, well, you can follow on YouTube. And she said, okay. And what else? And then I started talking and I was telling her that I'm a certified meditation practitioner. And she said, oh, well, I do all of these, blah, 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 blah. She's a psychotherapist. Along with an author. And she just does a lot of different things. And then everything he said, those are the type of things that I do. And that was it. So then at the end, just by, being a person and being in this world, you're like, okay, I guess you going to be like, okay, now you can do this for me. You know what I mean? You don't know, because she caught me off guard and I just saw a woman and I didn't say, you know what? I'm not responding to that. I'm not going to connect with her. I had no idea, but I'm not a person who wants to block their blessings as well, because it could have been something I really was thinking on the lines of, oh, I might be able to help her. Maybe she needs my help. And that side of me is always going to call you and always going to answer the call. Blew my mind. And she asked me, what can she do for me? And she was like, I just wanted to touch bases with you. And she said, we'll be in touch. I'm glad we're connected.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah. So Leroy, I want to give you the final words about networking. Because of course you were the first person that I thought about when I wanted to do this show, the importance of networking. But before I allow you to take us out, I just want to say, Kim, you have been a joy, and yes, I will be having you back.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much. And then quickly, and then Leroy, I'm going to give you the final words. But quickly, Kim, tell somebody out there why they need to network and use social media as that platform.
Why not? Why not? you can go on. You don't even have to leave your home. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to pay. And you just get on and tell people about who you are and what you're offering. How hard is that?
Mm-hmm.
How hard is that? If you can't do that, then how are you going to ever really, truly make it in business? Use it. Use it. It's invaluable. It's invaluable. So use it. Be smart.
Perfect, because you can't do it alone. All right, Leroy. But now you see some of the memes where people act like when they flub, they act like the camera went off or it was a flip. They'll be like, but Leroy, and that's because my mind moves faster than my mouth. I got ideas in my head right now, talking to y'all like, oh, we could do this, we could do that's going on this side, and then the other side is like, girl, you doing an interview? Ask this question. But what can I say? If I ain't nothing else, I'm authentic. It is what it is.
Yeah.
All right, Leroy. So Leroy, the importance of networking. Why do you find, what is that one thing that you can tell someone about networking and the importance of it?
Well, I'll use one word, and it'll be what I've been focusing on. Get people to focus on this week, and that's building. And Kendell, you know where that comes from. That comes from our boss life that we talk about, which is build, organize, shift, and sacrifice.
Yeah. We have t-shirts. We have t-shirts coming, by the way.
Oh wow!
But that's
like that.
Me and Leroy have meetings of the mind.
Yes.
But networking, as I said, the foundation of networking is about building. You're building you're building your business, and you're building your brand. Nothing happens. You could have the greatest product, you could have the greatest service in the world, but if you do not network, no one will know about that product or that service.
That's right.
And by networking, you allow yourself to be able to go from being a storefront or a garage business like Amazon, like Microsoft, to being a Fortune 500 company, a $1 trillion company, which Amazon is. That's what networking can do for you. I promise you, there's not one Fortune 500 company that did not start off as a small business.
That's right.
And they grew because of the networking that they did. The places that they put themselves in. I would guarantee you, Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, Michael Jordan, and for us, Mr. Robert Smith, Mr. Michael V. Roberts. And if you don't know who they are, you need to look them up. I'm not going to tell you who they are. You need to look them up. But they got to where they are because they networked. They put themselves in the positions and platforms to be able to tell people not only who they are, but they also put themselves in a position where they could build relationships. And that's all networking is.
So what I want to do, and thank you, well said, Leroy, and you better listen to him because he knows a thing or two about networking and connecting. So I'm gonna start calling him Little Clarence. No, I'm just joking.
Hey, I'll take that because he's he is a great man. That's a great man, and it just blew my mind that this man that you nobody knows it. Well, the folks that need to know his name knew. I'll put it that way. But the majority of folks don't even know who this man is. And he has been a huge part of some of the major things that have happened in and around our country and world and people.
Wow. You know, when I discovered, and quickly, when I discovered Clarence Avant, I discovered him back in the day when he had Taboo Records. And I thought he was a record man because Sherelle, I wonder if, I Didn't Mean to Turn You On. Back then, when he did a lot with Alexander O'Neal and all of that. And that's when I discovered in the 80s. But I thought he was a music exec because that was one of his roles. I didn't know the significance of this man. I just remember him always being on Soul Train and different interviews and everybody would talk about Clarence Avant within the music industry. So I knew about him then, but I didn't know the magnitude of what he has done. I didn't know about the political side, you know, the Hollywood side, the business side. So I was floored. Because Sherelle used to always, you know, when they get up and get their awards, they always thank them. I heard a lot of music industry people thanking him. So I just thought he was a big wig in that. But that goes to show you, you can move silently where everybody in industries know who you are, but other people don't, and they don't need to. That shows me he wasn't doing it for notoriety. He wasn't doing it for fame. He genuinely, you know, felt the need to connect people. And that's really what it's about. That's what we've been talking about here, people. I want to extend, and they don't know that I'm going to do this, but I think that they're going to say yes. I'm talking about you, Leroy and Kim. I would love for you guys to come back on maybe next month and talk about branding.
Awesome.
You willing? You good?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right. So we got this team right here, this trilogy, and we're going to talk about and we're going to talk about branding, because that's so important. And I do workshops on branding, and I talk about branding a lot in my podcast and just other platforms. I think it's so important to brand your business, but most importantly, you are your business, so branding yourself. So I want to have that conversation with these wonderful people. But I thank you all. Thank you for taking the time out to speak to me today for this YouTube show. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Everybody, thank you so much for watching Kendell Lenice Live. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. And tell your people about Kendell Lenice Live in this YouTube channel. Don't be stingy. We're talking about networking. We're talking about connecting people. Connect somebody with this here show. Thank you so much. God bless. Peace.